Alrighty folks, welcome back to another video of Yates Computers Tips and Reviews. Want to thank everybody for watching. Head on over, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, head on back. Well, I've touched on this on a few videos already. Today's modern tech is really kind of a dangerous tech. I've touched on wireless security key to get on to networks. Knowing how this device is set up, knowing how many networks this thing can be on in a day is very scary and can be very bad. A lot of people think, oh yeah, it's not that big of a deal. You know, there's not a whole lot of security software. A lot of people say, oh, it's an Android. It's not that bad. There's just a story. By the time this gets posted, in a few months ago, you had the new Android phone that was breached because of a 0-day in the software or whatever's going on in the software of the phone. Well, this is one of those things I've been talking about, have other videos on, and here it is again. And part of that is because of the different networks that these things get on. Verizon or whoever network, cell phone company, AT&T, whoever you have can be affected by what you do on your phone. And the security features around it, because these phones can be on multiple networks at the same time. They're on their phone network, they're on their, I guess, their texting network, whatever that network, however it transmits, and the internet network. And then it can be on a Wi-Fi network. Could be wired. Went through the video on this too. A data cable, non-data cable. You can technically be on 4 or 5 networks at one time. You plug that in to a dirty computer. Let's start with, you're on the Wi-Fi network, you're on their networks. You can then broadcast all of that stuff through the Wi-Fi network into whatever's on that Wi-Fi network, whatever other computers are on that network. Those computers can actually be on the Wi-Fi network and on a wired network and then broadcast out onto the wired network. This can broadcast out on all of their networks to whoever else's phones. If you have this Bluetooth or wired to any other devices, it can broadcast out onto those devices. Wanted to touch base on that so people understand the different networks these kind of devices can be on. And I'm not talking just this kind of a device. Just a simple tablet kind of device. How many devices, how many networks? Wireless, Bluetooth, cable. Some of these actually have where they can go out, satellite, cell phone. How many other different kinds of networks? So this is kind of the weird thing when you get into network engineering and you get into workstation type of things. Multiple NICs, to make sure the multiple NIC, that NIC only communicates to that data can't communicate through one to the other. You can actually share data from one to the other. You can get into all those type of things. You get into that kind of stuff with this too. Because where they get around it is if they infect this device and get around your security features, they can go out on all your networks. Same as your computer. If your computer gets infected, they can go out on your multiple networks by coming in one, taking over, infecting that computer, then going out because that computer has access. That's when you get into firewalls, you get into your virus scans, you get into all the physical stuff on the computer security side. That I'll be going into later on this year also, because that is part of knowing all of this type of stuff. Knowing the networks, knowing your connections, where you have internet, where you have your data, where you have everything. Routers have USB drives, hard drives on them where they store. You can store your video, shared files. You can store other things. This thing can actually store a dirty file to there. Anything else on your network gets there, pulls that dirty file. You know, this is the things that really are kind of in the rabbit hole here, but this is security. Knowing this, knowing the networks, knowing what you actually are attached to and what's on your network. Into your video, this is where this kind of falls from last year. Is your network security, your network settings, all of those type of things. But this is the modern tech. This isn't your traditional computer. Not to mention how many Wi-Fi networks, like I mentioned to that. Where do you take this and where it's on and what it connects to? You take it to work. You take it to school. You take it home. Take it to a friend's house. Take it to coworkers. You take it. How many networks is it on? What does it have access to? Where can it pick up something and bring it to everybody else? That's kind of the scary thing nowadays, is they talk about right now there's Trojans and all this stuff floating around that's getting worse and worse and worse, that they're trying to capture and pin down and eliminate, and they can't. Well, you have devices kind of like this that can float around and keep broadcasting stuff. You go on trips, you go on vacations, you go across country, you go around the world nowadays with things like these. So it can be a little hard to contain something that you know is out there. As a security person and learning security, this can be a real headache for you. This is probably where a lot of issues are coming from and how they get spread so fast. Someone in New York picks something up, gets on a plane, flies to Chicago, spends a couple days, gets on the internet, gets on another plane, goes to LA for a few days, do business, do whatever you got to do, goes to New York or goes overseas to London. Now that's 4 towns with four, I can't even say 4 access points, because it might be 50 in each town, depending on where that person goes with that, what it connects to, that could be infected. So, wanted to touch base on that, go through that real quick, so people understand the networks that are attached. Understanding that. It's not just one network. So, thank you all so much for watching. Come on back. There'll be more videos. This is a short one, but this builds on everything else. Goes off of a lot of those other videos. This is just that part, so you understand the networks that your device can actually be attached to that you don't actually realize. And why I say those kind of devices are so dangerous. Thank you so much.